Think about this. The man running for president simulated oral at a campaign speech, and it's barely front page headlines.
I'm so upset with people who aren't exercising their intellect as much as they're exercising their emotions.
Actor and activist Mandy Patinkin hits the nail on the head when it comes to MAGA.
They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done. They poison.
This pathetic rhetoric has real-life consequences because his followers believe him. Count Patinkin out.
America will be made great again by nourishing and encouraging people's moral and ethical nature, encouraging their human beingness, not their fear. I beg the leaders of the world, of the United States and of the European community, to stop being afraid, to start working together, to listen to the lies of these souls that are no different than your own family, who are desperately in need, and to work in solidarity with their moral and ethical code and nature that I know they have.
Listen and reflect. How can one with critical thinking skills, loving thy neighbor, wanting the best for civilization, go against this message?
He asked Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, about claims that Trump once asked him, quote, "Why can't you be like the German generals?" So Goldberg then writes, well, he told me that when Trump raised the subject of German generals, Kelly responded by asking, "Do you mean Bismarck's generals?" He went on, I know he didn't know who Bismarck was or about the Franco-Prussian War. I said, "Do you mean the Kaiser's generals? Surely you cannot mean Hitler's generals." And he said, yeah, Hitler's generals. And The Atlantic goes on to cite then two more sources who were at the Trump White House. They claimed that they heard Trump say, quote, "I need the kind of generals that Hitler had, people who were totally loyal to him that follow orders."
Don't say we weren't warned.
You know, people laughed at Adolf Hitler. Hitler was called a fool. He was called a goof, a silly person, made fun of. And then he got to be Hitler. It's not a joke. These things happen, and there's great similarities. Instead of it being Jews, it's Muslims. Instead of it being blacks who were in slavery, it's Muslims.
Similarities between the language of Donald Trump and the language of Adolf Hitler.
Yes, sir. And it's undeniable.
At least one person sees it.
He is the most dangerous person ever. I had suspicions when I talked to you about his mental decline and so forth, but now I realize he's a total fascist. He is the most dangerous person to this country, a fascist to the core. Milley repeated to me, I will never forget the intensity of his worry.
It's former military veterans who worked in the Trump White House trying to ring the alarm.
I personally am very close friends with one of the highest people in national security of the country. And I said to him when we were shooting Homeland in 2016, you were, sort of okay with it now. And then things unfolded. And I said, how are you now? How do you feel now that he's in office? He said, now I'm really worried. I said, why is that? He said, because I've been with many of these president-elects and people running for president, and there's a big change that happens once they're in that chair in that White House, and I haven't seen that change, and that terrifies me.
And Patinkin even cites a source of his who echoes those same worries.
Why do we want these people from, quote, all these whole countries here? Mr. Trump was referring to African nations and Haiti, before suggesting the U.S. should have more people from places like Norway.
There is a repeated pattern from a man who not only coddles white supremacists, but dines with them.
To have us as citizens have to sit and witness the degradation of one of the most important systems in the world right now, to debate ideas that affect human lives, and to listen to an egomaniac destroy any possibility of discussion is unacceptable. It is an insult to us as voters to have to witness this kind of bestiality.
Patinkin, like many, has had enough.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
Remember this?
We have to be human moral beings, human rights. If you don't, I've said this before, it's an old, it came from the Holocaust. If you don't take care of these people now, if you don't stop worrying about yourself and take care of your fellow man now, when the time comes that you need someone to help you, no one will be there. And if you think that's not the truth, think again.
Because Patinkin has a great retort to it.
The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, said, No one has ever been more dangerous to this country than Donald Trump, and he is a fascist to his core.
Speaking of,
it used to be monarchies, fascists, demagogues, kings. That's what this country was formed to try to avoid, to represent the people so that they could have a voice, so that their vote meant something. That's what it'll go back to. It'll be go back to a monarchy. This democracy is a baby. It's only a few years old in the timeline of history.
True.
And don't think that it can't happen. There are people that want it to happen. They're trying to destroy our democracy. Those who can't accept the results of an election. An election is a game. Don't go to a baseball game or a football game or a soccer game or a basketball game if you can't accept the fact that there'll be a winner and a loser. That's why you're going to the damn game, for God's sake. And so don't think that you can't lose the privilege of being an American, the privilege of having the greatest power in the world, which is your vote.
It's absolutely wild to see. And in Texas, stuff is really, really crazy. We're right there by a wide open border. Where are my proud Latinos at tonight? You guys see what I mean? It's wide open. There's so many of them. It's absolutely incredible. Believe it or not, people, I welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this.
don't ever forget the Trump administration gave this idiot the stamp of approval.
What's at risk if we don't help these people is a moral crisis. That's what's at risk. Fear is the poison of our lives. We're all afraid of so many things. Anybody who doesn't understand that and have some empathy toward fear that people have all over the world isn't being kind. Fear is very real, but there's nothing to be afraid of here. Nothing at all. Our humanity is at risk if we don't take care of these people. Our right to exist is at risk. If you don't help these people, when you are in need, there will be no one, I guarantee you, there will be no one to help you.
But why is it that the women with the least likelihood of getting pregnant are the ones most worried about having abortions? Nobody wants to impregnate you if you look like a thumb.
Is it safe to say that based off of your comments, you're suggesting that these women at these abortion rallies are ugly and overweight?
Yes.
What do you say to people who think that those comments are offensive?
Be offended.
If you didn't already know, we are living in the dumbest timeline imaginable.
Oh my God, I'm so excited! I'm so excited! I mean, everyone thinks you're crazy. I don't think you're crazy. People think you're a pedophile. I don't think you're a pedophile at all. I don't think he's a pedophile at all. The charges against him are totally false. They're totally false. Oh my God. Thank you.
Because this cartoon villain and alleged predator from Florida has just been tapped by Donald Trump to replace Merrick Garland as Attorney General.
And I'll give you the truth why I'm not Speaker. It's because one person, a member of Congress, wanted me to stop an ethics complaint because he slept with a 17-year-old. An ethics complaint that started before I ever became Speaker, and that's illegal, and I'm not going to get in the middle.
Keep this in mind going forward, but first.
He'll get confirmed by the Senate.
He's the Attorney General. Suck it up.
I sent out a message earlier today. Congratulations to the Florida man, Matt Gaetz. But if you want to clean out the Department of Justice, this is who you want. Somebody who's not afraid to open up all the filing cabinets.
Where's it going to lead?
He won the election. He deserves a chance to pick his cabinet. I am predisposed to allow him to do that. I think Matt Gaetz is very bright. I think he's qualified. He'll have a hearing, and he'll have some tough questions to answer. But to every Republican, please follow a process to give President Trump the ability to pick the people he thinks can do the job and give Matt a chance to prove himself.
And you have a history of that. While some MAGA stooges like Thomas Massey Byron Donalds and Lindsey Graham are falling in line and applauding Trump for nominating Gaetz. Surprisingly enough, he's already facing an uphill battle for confirmation because his own colleagues know he's up to no good.
We all knew that Matt Gaetz would never let the vote get to 18. I do have a message from Matt this evening. He really, really wanted to be here tonight, but he couldn't find a babysitter. To be his date, I mean, come on.
But I served with some real scumbags. Look, Matt Gaetz, he paid minors to have sex with him at drug parties. Bob Good endorsed my opponent, a known neo-Nazi. These people used to walk around with white hoods at night. Now they're walking around with white hoods in the daytime.
There's a reason why no one in the conference came and defended him, because we had all seen the videos he was showing on the House floor that all of us had walked away of the girls that he had slept with. He'd brag about how he would crush ED medicine and chase it with an energy drink so he could go all night. This is obviously before you got married. And so when that accusation came out, no one defended him, and then no one on the media would give him a time of the day.
When it comes to the selection of Representative Gaetz, I just think it's silly. I believe that the president is probably rewarding him for being such a loyal soldier to the president.
I don't think it's a serious nomination for the Attorney General. We need to have a serious Attorney General, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to consider somebody that is serious. This one was not on my bingo card.
I was shocked that he has been nominated. If the nomination proceeds, I'm sure that there will be an extensive background check by the FBI and public hearings and a lot of questions asked.
If this is the reaction your nomination is receiving from members of your own party, especially from the typically united Republican Party that couldn't care less about ethics and morality to begin with, then you know you seriously messed up. Though it's entirely possible that Gaetz will get run out of town during his confirmation hearings, if they're even allowed to happen. This is what the public should be focusing on now.
What's the youngest schoolgirl you've ever been with? And have you ridden on the Lolita Express? I know that Donald Trump has. So, I mean, right? It's a legitimate question. Don't let him talk.
Toward the end of the first Trump administration, then AG Bill Barr opened an investigation into Gaetz, alleging that he was involved with trafficking a 17-year-old girl across state lines, indirectly paid her for sex with Venmo through a third party, and subsequently tried to cover up his alleged criminal activity. After the DOJ declined to charge Gaetz in early 2023, the House Ethics Committee reopened its investigation into Gaetz, which was shuttered in 2021 after its case was referred to the DOJ for criminal charges, releasing a rare public update in June 2024 outlining that their investigation into Gaetz' allegations of sexual misconduct, illicit drug use, violating gift rules, and obstructing justice remains ongoing. The committee was slated to vote on releasing their damning report on Gaetz mere days after he was tapped to lead the same DOJ that once investigated him. And if the timing seems a little too convenient, this should dispel any doubts you had.
He issued his resignation letter effective immediately of Congress. That caught us by surprise a little bit.
Since, you just broke the news that he resigned immediately, that means that the House Ethics Committee investigation to him does not have jurisdiction since he's no longer a member of Congress. Are you concerned about what, they were finishing up their work, there was going to be a report issued? Is that a concern to you that will now never see the light of day?
Well, it is true that a former member of Congress, the House Ethics Committee, would have no further jurisdiction over that person, no further authority over them. So that would not be unprecedented. But as far as the timing of a release or report or something, I don't know. The Speaker of the House is not involved in that, can't be involved in that.
Just so we're all on the same page, the Ethics Committee loses jurisdiction over members of Congress whenever they leave Congress. And Gaetz' immediate resignation means that the committee may not be able to release its report detailing its multiple years-long investigation into Gaetz and his alleged criminal actions. If you think for a second this wasn't a coordinated plan, we have a beautiful bridge to sell you.
Gates is about to be the subject of a damning expose that was regarding his illegal behavior, and in order to distract from that and give him an out, Trump offered him the role of the top law enforcement official in the United States of America, but the fact that a Republican-led House committee pursued this topic anyway is perhaps a testament to how damning it is. Not unlike Trump, Gates probably recognizes that the easiest way to avoid being held accountable by the government is to run it. And it's not far-fetched to imagine why a president who is using his office right now to avoid prosecution would then nominate someone whose promotion to the head of the DOJ would also help him avoid accountability. Birds of a feather.
Remember, it's all one big club, and we ain't in it. Massive shout out to Brian Tyler Cohen for summing this all up and making it clear as day that what we're witnessing is corruption of the highest degree.
You gotta keep the faith. You gotta keep the faith. I was watching a movie. You ever watch a movie late at night, think the movie gonna get better, it don't get no better, you keep watching it anyway?
This stand-up bit from comedian Roy Wood Jr. is a microcosm of everything wrong with our political system, propping up candidates who literally couldn't care less about serving their constituents, are completely unqualified to hold power over people's lives, and are only running for office to protect their and their donors' class interests.
I was watching this movie, Fright Night, Freak Night, some sort of movie, but it was a bunch of vampires in the movie. Didn't notice, but vampires are pretty cool people, aren't they? We all agree on that. I was watching that movie, Fright Night, about the vampires. I didn't notice. Did you know that a werewolf could kill a vampire? I didn't know that. I found that out. I was like, I want to be a werewolf. I don't want to be a vampire no more. And those are the exact words verbatim from Herschel Walker and a campaign against.
Shout out to Roy Wood Jr. for highlighting how fundamentally unserious and uninterested Republicans are in improving the material conditions of their voters. Anyone with a functioning brain could see Herschel would say and do anything he was told to, and had no real interest in governing other than repeating talking points. In a properly functioning society, Herschel Walker would be laughed out of politics on day one, but because the base responds to the garbage the Republican Party spews, we're stuck having to take these goofs seriously.
What makes Herschel a special candidate?
Well, I think his sincerity.
Herschel has said he's against abortion. And then the Daily Beast story came out that he had given $700 to a woman to have an abortion. Do you think that is a very sincere thing to do?
I don't know if that's true or not.
But you don't think it's a little hypocritical for him to say, no one else can have an abortion, but I will have an abortion because it's an inconvenience to me? Well, if that's true.
I don't know if that's true, so I can't answer that.
But if it was true?
Well, if it was true, then I might be able to answer it.
This is what the conservative mindset looks like in action. Herschel Walker was totally on board with being pro-choice in his private life, but as soon as he entered public policy, he was totally against reproductive freedom. And to make things even clearer, his defender here refused to even engage with Jason Selvig's question because, consciously or not, he knows there's no way to weasel out of it.
You feel he's a good candidate?
Awesome.
Okay.
He tells the truth.
So Herschel Walker tells the truth. That's what you like about him.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the thing that's been in the news a lot right now is that he, lied about having an abortion. He paid a woman to have an abortion, and then he said that he was pro-life and didn't believe in it. Do you feel that there's a problem with that?
We all make mistakes. The only person I've ever known that was perfect was Jesus.
You think abortion is murder?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, because...
So do you think that Herschel Walker is a murderer if he paid for an abortion?
Well, like I said, we've all done bad things. I mean,
murder is that's one of the worst you could do. If Herschel Walker paid for an abortion and you think abortion is murder, does that not make him a murderer?
It's according to what you want to call murder. I mean, if you see somebody breaking in your house and you kill them, is that murder? If you accidentally run over somebody,
is abortion murder?
Well, If you do that, a premeditated taking of life, I think that is murder. Premeditated taking of innocent life is murder.
So that, by your definition, if the allegations are true, he was a murderer, but that's okay with you because he repented.
Well, what is sin is sin. I mean, some sins are more long-lasting.
Selvig's face says it all. Belief will always trump logic, and instead of just admitting as much, MAGA will twist themselves in knots and bend over backwards to find any way to justify their double standards and hypocrisy in their own minds.
At one time, science said man came from apes. Did it not? That's when you go to the science.
Every time I read or hear that, I think to myself, you just didn't read the same Bible I did.
Well, this was interesting, though. If that is true, why are there still apes? Think about it.
You know, now you're getting too smart for us.
No.
We were hopeful that Walker's loss to Senator Raphael Warnock would keep him out of politics for good, so we don't have to do with this nonsense anymore. But unfortunately, Donald Trump called on his services once again.
And it is time for it to stop. And it stopped on Tuesday when we get to the polls and we vote for my friend and your friend, Donald Trump Jr. Donald J. Trump.
Nailed it.
And about 40 years ago, I met a young man that was just the way I grew up. He loved his family and he loved this great country. And we hit it off. That young man was Donald J. Trump. Today, we both are a little bit older, but we both still have good hair.
Remember when watching this speech that we were only around 100,000 votes away from this man holding one of the most powerful political positions in the country, especially in the lead up to a presidential election in one of the most crucial swing states that very well could decide the entire race.
And I can tell you 40 years ago, President Trump hasn't changed. He still loves his family, loves his country, and we're still friends.
He's still the same privileged, racist, misogynistic, narcissistic, predatory con man that he was 40 years ago, just so we're clear.
And it really disgusts me when I did hear them insult him with all these names. One of them, they call him a racist. Oh, yes, well, no. Wait. And if y'all haven't noticed, I'm black. But I've had some people on the left that said that I wasn't black.
No, Herschel, no one, quote, on the left was saying you aren't black. They're criticizing your blind support for a man with over 50 years of documented hostility toward any and every community that is not white, from housing discrimination lawsuits, calling for the death penalty for the exonerated Central Park Five, to campaigning on mass deportation programs for immigrants and migrants. Trump's life story is one of benefiting from white supremacy and racism. And no amount of black friends will change how the policies he advocates for undermine the existence of racial minority communities and their potential for success.
And with this hateful rhetoric, they've had people to take shots at him, try to kill him. But man can't stop what God got in store for you. They said that we were garbage. Well, they can call us garbage all day long. They can call us anything they want. Because in the great book that I read, it said, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And if they wanted to fact check me, that is in Isaiah 54:17. And as Michael Jackson said in his song, The Man in the Mirror, that we can make a change, but that change is gonna come if y'all get out and vote.
Citing a Bible verse as if it's fact and daring the media to fact check the verse before dropping a Michael Jackson quote says all you need to know about Herschel Walker and the Republican base of support.